Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you've been enjoying the workshop so far and that it's been productive. I want to today look at phrases. I know a lot of people, when you mention elements of grammar, they take to their heels, don't they? They find it so taxing and so boring, and they don't see the need to have to learn it. But the only reason why I'm reminding yourselves of what the different parts of speech and what the different elements do in a sentence is so that when you come to write your beautiful stories, or when you use English at work, or when you go off to write your moving poems, you remember how you should use these elements to write your sentence grammatically so that you come across as more professional. English is used by all in the countries where you live, although we all speak all the beautiful languages, predominantly because we were colonized by Britain. And to get ahead in the world, we needed languages like English, French, and maybe Chinese nowadays, don't we? Okay, so English is quite easy to learn if you remember the basic rules, and that's what I'm trying to do. Just, remind yourselves what the basic rules are. Trust me, it's easier than Russian. My uncle went to Russia to study back in the day. He was a psychiatrist, my uncle, Dr. Taylor Lewis, and then he came back to Sierra Leone. I remember he came back with his old Russian books, and blimey, Slavic languages are indecipherable. So English is quite easy, isn't it? My working sentence would be one you've already seen on the feed if you pay any attention to what I do, if you're not bored of the workshop already. My working sentence, which is the template, is Bryma, the last man standing. Dance like there was no tomorrow. It's quite a lengthy sentence, but I've chosen it because I want to show you the different parts of speech and the different phrases, how they work to make sense. I am going to start off with the first part. Bryma. Bryma is a noun. It is a proper noun and it's capitalized. It is the subject of my sentence. Then I've gone on to give you more information about Bryma, the last man standing. But it's still part of my phrase, Bryma, the last man standing. It tells you who the person is I'm talking about. Anything that answers to the question who is a nominal phrase, because you're going to answer that question with a noun or pronoun. So if I said, who are you? You're going to say, I'm Mrs. Miggins. Mrs. Miggins on its own might be a nominal phrase, wouldn't it? So, Bryma, the last man standing there, I've identified it straight up as my nominal phrase. And of course, you're going to say it in the subject part of the sentence. So anything else I'm going to add has to give me information about Bryma. You agree with that, don't you? So when I've identified my main part of the sentence, the subject, you're going to tell me anything else that follows should tell me more, give me more information about Bryma. Very often when I'm reading people's stories, this is the first thing I take notice of. They have identified the subject and then they go off on a tangent. They forget what the subject is. And the reason why you forget what the subject is because you add other words to the sentence. And because you keep adding more words, you forget to look back where you started. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Your subject is the starting line, and it doesn't matter whether you're running to get to the finish line. Don't forget where you started. Don't forget where you came from. So I've identified Bryma, the last man standing, and everything else I add to my sentence. Beg your pardon. I'm stumbling a little bit. Everything that I add to my subject should either modify it, add additional information, qualify it, quantify it, whatever you want to say, but it should work with my subject. I'm then going to continue with the sentence. Brahma, the last man standing in the contest, danced like there was no tomorrow into victory. What have I gone and done? I've added some more information. So, my subject is still Brahma. The last man standing in the contest danced. Oh my goodness, I've added a verb, haven't I? So I've got one word in my verb phrase. It's only danced. I'm not even going to call it a phrase today. I'm only going to call it a verb because it hasn't got another word helping it. So I'm going to call it a verb. What about like there was no tomorrow? What is this doing in my sentence? What question does it answer? It tells me how Brahma danced. So my expression like there was no tomorrow, which is actually a fixed expression, it tells me the manner in which Brahma was dancing, doesn't it?
Brahma danced. Look at my prepositional phrase there, into victory. It starts with the preposition into, doesn't it? It's a figurative expression too, but that doesn't really matter here. It helps show how well Brahma danced. In fact, he won the contest, didn't he? To recap, we've identified nominal phrases which may contain two or more nouns, pronouns, or a phrase that works like a noun. They may begin with a determiner too. Here, we had the last man standing. Then we spoke about verb phrases in passing. Usually, they consist of at least two words functioning as an action word. Adjective phrases are next. Look at my new sentence now. The last man standing in the contest, athletic and flexible Brahma, danced like there was no tomorrow into victory. I have added adjectives to describe what sort of contestant Brahma was. He was athletic and flexible. I hope this segment has helped demonstrate how a simple sentence could be lengthened by adding phrases. I bet you're sitting tight waiting to see Brahma burst a few dance moves, right?